Joining me now is Congresswoman Angie Craig, who is a Democrat of Minnesota. Congresswoman, we appreciate your time tonight. We begin tonight with the Trump administration's response both to the unrest in Minneapolis, but also the administration saying there's not presently a federal investigation into Renee Good's killing and appearing to close ranks around the ICE agent who fired the fatal shots. Take a listen.
Is the FBI conducting an investigation into that agent, into the shooting? What can you tell us about that? Will it be made public?
Look, what happened on that day has been reviewed by millions and millions of Americans because it was recorded on phones. We investigate when it's appropriate to investigate, and that is not the case here. We are not going to bow to pressure from the media, bow to pressure from politicians, and do something that we never do, not under this administration, not under the last administration. And so, no, we are not investigating.
Let me talk to you about the officer, Jonathan Ross. He was struck. He was hospitalized.
Don't say his name. I mean, for heaven's sakes, we shouldn't have people continue to dox law enforcement when they have an 8,000% increase in death threats against them. I know, but that doesn't mean it should continue to be said.
It is interesting to me, Congresswoman, that they can call the deceased a terrorist, but they say there's no investigation. Well, what is the basis of calling her a domestic terrorist if they haven't investigated the scene? They are calling her names, saying they have not got a present investigations against the ICE agent that shot and killed her. You filed a congressional petition to impeach DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. What's your reaction?
Well, they were calling her names before they even left that scene that fateful day in Minneapolis. Rev, thank you for having me. This is just an extraordinary moment in Minnesota and American history. The words out of the secretary's mouth on the morning shows this morning. Look, the reason you do an investigation is so that the American public, so that Minnesotans know that a full and fair evaluation of the circumstances have occurred. Now, in these circumstances, the problem that Secretary Noem has is that we saw what happened with our own eyes. And that's why I am leading the impeachment resolution against Kristi Noem, along with Illinois Congresswoman Robin Kelly, to make sure that we continue to highlight just the egregious nature of this lawless, out of control Department of Homeland Security and ICE.
Now, the Washington Post is citing anonymous defense officials who say the Pentagon has ordered about 1,500 active duty soldiers to prepare for possible deployment to Minnesota. That, of course, follows the president's threat to invoke the Insurrection Act in the state, where some 3,000 federal agents have already been mobilized to the Twin Cities area, outnumbering local police 5-1. These threats are coming as the administration is stonewalling on an investigation into the killing of Renee Good, which prompted many of the demonstrations that we are seeing. What's your response to all of this?
Well, to wake up this morning to the news that 1,500 active members of our military, the same folks, active duty folks who were in Iraq and Afghanistan all those years ago. It's just stunning that that is what this president is even considering. Look, in Minnesota, we stand up for our neighbors. In Minnesota, we see with our own eyes, and we love our neighbors. We protect our neighbors. Rev, I was doing a number of immigrant-owned business tours yesterday across Minnesota. And one of the things that we're seeing right now is our local cities are telling business owners, if ICE comes on to this parking lot, if ICE comes in to your business, call 911. We're going to send out local police to try to de-escalate ICE. We are in a circumstance in our country where literally we're calling on local law enforcement to try to come out and de-escalate federal agents in our country. It's just extraordinary. And Minnesotans, we know how to fight. This is no time for Minnesota nice.
Now, you've had several scuffles this weekend between demonstrators supporting and opposing ICE operations in the Twin Cities. One of those scuffles involved a right-wing influencer and pardoned January 6th rioter who led an anti-immigrant demonstration in downtown Minneapolis before he was met with snowballs and punches from counter-protesters as he tried to leave the scene. How worried are you about extremists using the unrest in Minneapolis to spread their message, if not to foment violence?
Well, that J6 insurrectionist attacked my workplace on January 6th. And so, first of all, to have those people pardoned and out in this country, this lawless administration and lawless president. But we in Minnesota, elected leaders, we have to continue to call for nonviolent, peaceful protests because Donald Trump, this administration, they are looking for any reason whatsoever to invoke the Insurrection Act. They want to fight here in Minnesota. They want rioting in Minnesota. And we have to continue to say, do not give them what they want.
Finally, let's talk de-escalation because the Justice Department is reportedly investigating Mayor Frey and Governor Walz for alleged obstruction of immigration enforcement. And you and your Democratic congressional colleagues were recently barred from entering an ICE detention center in Minneapolis to perform basic oversight. How are you supposed to bring the temperature down in Minneapolis when the president seems hell-bent on pouring more gasoline on the fire?
Do you know what we were told at a congressional hearing on Friday where 28 of us showed up in Minneapolis to hear from those who had been detained, that when you go into those facilities, there is a U.S. citizen section. That should create fear, cause fear in every American because they are now going door to door. They are looking for Black and brown people in our country. And this is not America. This is not the America that any of us want to live in. And so I would just say to everyone, and this was so important during the civil rights movement, faith leaders must step forward from all faiths and speak out. Business leaders, we have 16 Fortune 500 companies in Minnesota, Rev. Business leaders must speak out. We have got to finally get through to this administration and this president that he's got to help us de-escalate this situation. And by the way, I had a call from a Republican state House member yesterday, and you know what he said? That those Republicans in this state are calling their leadership saying, this is going to cause us to lose our next election. And you know what? It sure as hell is.
All right. Thank you, Congresswoman and Angie Craig, Democrat of Minnesota, for being with us this evening.